All right, today I'm going to take a look at some tweaker screwdrivers. These are all approximately a 2.5 millimeter flathead screwdriver, so they're good for doing pretty much everything that you do if you're doing small electronics. This one is a Wiha, and it is a 2.5 millimeter head with a 100 millimeter shaft. This is a Wera. It also has a 2.5 millimeter head, but it has an 80 millimeter shaft. The tip on this one is magnetic, which this one does not have. And then this is a Klein, and it is a 614-3. So it is a 3/32 head, which is 2.4 millimeters. So it's basically exactly the same. It is 0.1 millimeters smaller than the Wiha or the Wera, and it is a 76 millimeter shaft, so 3 inches. So you can see if I put them right next to each other, this one's just a tiny bit shorter. They all have a spinning pommel, right? So I can put this in my hand and I can just kind of work it like that. Right? And any tweaker screwdriver that I get has to have that. That's kind of a necessity for me to have to have that. Now, out of the three, this one is a little bit more stiff, right? Now, it still works just fine, no problem, but it doesn't really float the same as these two. Now, that might just be this one that I'm using. Matter of fact, hold on, I got two more just like it. Nope, that one's also stiff. And that one, it started out like it was stuck, but this one actually slides much better. So this one's mine now. But anyway, this one was stiff. This one was stiff. This one is pretty good. So it's kind of luck of the draw. It still feels a little bit more stiff than these two. Like, it doesn't really float like those two, but this one's a little bit better. The stiff isn't that bad. It's not as bad as maybe I would make it out to be. Like, I can still work it just fine. It just doesn't feel as nice as these two. So next thing is these handles right here. So this one is definitely plastic. It doesn't feel as nice as either of these two. This one feels, I think, the most premium out of any of them. It's plastic, but this little green texture right here, this is rubber, and it just feels so nice on the fingers. So out of the three of them, this one feels the nicest. And then this one has the biggest grip out of all of them. The smaller the grip, it'll take less movement to get a full rotation. So I can get a lot faster with this one, but if I find something that somebody really torqued down, I can actually break that free with this one the easiest. So they definitely go like in range, more torque, more speed, and then right in the middle. And this does have the like a speed grip right here, so it's a little smaller here, a little bigger here, so if I need to, I can get more grip, and that's also right in the textured area. So I think this is probably the best designed out of all of them, but it's still not as big or as grippy as the Klein. So if I came across a screw that I needed a lot of torque on, then this is going to be the one that I would grab. And by that, what I mean is, this is the one that I keep in my tool bag all the time. I think it's a 5-in-1 or a 4-in-1, I'm not really sure, but it's got this and it pops out, so you got 2 Phillips and you got 2 flatheads. Now, the only thing that scares me about the Klein is this. It's gonna be kind of hard to see, but it's actually twisted a little bit, and that's because I put way too much torque on it. But I didn't put as much torque on this as I have out of these two, and these two are still fine. So I still keep this around. The main reason I keep it around is because I need a Phillips occasionally, and if I need to put a lot of torque on something, I can flip it around. And this is a slightly bigger flathead, so I can put a lot of torque on this, and you can tell by the amount of damage that I put on this rubber thing, it actually slides back and forth now, but it's still on there, it still holds great. But I can put a lot of torque on this, and I can break free things that I can't with any of these. So this is probably the best one for that. But the fact of the matter is, the metal on here did twist. So it's not the finest metal on the planet. I've never had these two twist. I've put a lot of torque on them. I mean, I wouldn't part with this because it still has the tiny Phillips. It's, it's a 4-in-1. It works really well, but it does scare me about the Klein. And I'm definitely not a fanboy of Klein. I've got so much Klein stuff in here. I've got a lot of money in Klein right now, and I got even more in my toolbox. So this is really the only Wiha thing that I have at work, although I do have a couple other Wiha tools at home that I really like, mostly because I started using this and I liked it so much. And Wera is great. I got some of their Allen wrenches. They're the best Allen wrenches that you can get, but we're just talking about tweakers right now. And out of these 3 tweakers, I really like this one the best. I think the grip on it's the nicest. I like the floating pommel. I like that it has this hex on here, so if I need to, I can grab that with a wrench. And this this one actually has something like that too. It has some, like a little texture on here, so I could grab that with some pliers or something. I could do that with this, but I mean, if I did, it would scar this, and I would feel it every time I grabbed it, so not as good for that. This one is definitely not great for torque. This one is probably the best for torque, and then this is just like the one in the middle. The only thing that I like about this one that's better than any of the other ones is the length. If I could get a Wera in 100 millimeters, that would be the ultimate. And because there are some times where I have to go into a housing to adjust, to tweak a little potentiometer, and this is the only one that I can fit all the way in. If I do that with this one, I have to actually fit in a little bit of the handle, which is not great because it's a very small hole that I'm putting it in, and having that covering it up is not great. So this one is still the best for that. Now this one's non-magnetic, so if I was dealing with anything like that I was really worried where magnetic would affect it, I would have to use this one because these two are magnetic. I do find that having the magnetic tips on here does really come in handy for a lot of the work that I do, and only very occasionally will the non-magnetic version be like required, but the fact of the matter is sometimes it is required. So out of the three, most torque, best for certain scenarios, and then best overall. And so essentially I need to have all three, which is why I have all three.